Well, once again, we're back, and Gary on my left, and Rick on my right, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's known as, or was known as, the Shoemakers, which Lorraine Post 29 supported for the most part. Is that right?
They're the ones that got us started back in the summer of 1961, and basically the VFW, Jack Sullivan, more than anybody else, was the catalyst to get this going. And of course he knew a lot of the senior corps players from all over the state, and thought it was a good idea to try to get the kids from Haverhill or surrounding Haverhill towns involved in something, you know.
He must have had an expressed interest in it himself.
Well, you know what? I never really knew much about Jack and music, or you know how he felt about music, but it was obviously an organization that he's wanted desperately to get involved in. And what was something was that he made sure that the kids from all over the area could come here on 2 or 3 nights a week and feel in a safe environment and off the streets, and get them to get involved in playing some sort of instrument, which is an art. And I think a lot of people took it with them along the way. But yeah, we started back in '61, and it went for quite a ways. It even turned back into a senior corps, I think, in '67, '68, maybe '70. But we had a great time. It was a great ride.
And you playing the drums.
Right, and Gary played the bugle.
And so you might have some experiences there that you might want to talk about.
Well, you know, most of the experiences were just good experiences. Learning an instrument, first of all, was something that I wasn't used to, and having these professional musicians as teachers,
definitely
absolutely
discipline in there, and there was a lot of discipline, and you had to be on your toes at all the time, and if you wanted something bad enough, you had to go out and get it, and that's what they made you do.
That's
all these corps were really good, and if you wanted to be number one, that's the only way you were going to do it, and discipline was the key.
Now, you went to trade school, and you went to Haverhill High School.
Right.
And I know in Haverhill High School, you know, they had, of course, their own bands or whatever. Why did you pick the Shoemakers as opposed to going through the school bands?
Well, the VFW had a lot to do with it. Father was a member, and I think it was the group of people were up here supporting you. I think brought us up here more than anything, and it was people from all around the area. It wasn't just from the Haverhill area, but the surrounding area, and they were a great group of people, and they all worked together to perfect the corps.
And you, Rick, why not the high school?
Well, first of all, where I said that it started back in the summer of '61, Gary and I weren't yet in high school.
Oh,
so we were already involved in this drum corps before we even got into high school. And so once high school came along, we still wanted to stay with this corps that we felt like we were just a part of, like another family, you know, like a branch from a tree. It was hard to cut off because we enjoyed it so much. And we had people from all walks of life as our instructors, but most of them belonged to famous senior corps out near the Boston area.
Wow.
And they were also veterans of World War II themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And so this was an atmosphere where we almost started our own military careers with the type of discipline that was needed later on. But it was a great time. We had a lot of great travel. We went to the World's Fair in 1964, played at the U.S. Pavilion in front of over 5,000 people. It was a great experience. We're in competition standstills, which are inside buildings during the winter months. And then we played out in outside competitions in stadiums all over the New England states for quite a few years. And we would, I would say we would have easily 15, 20 competitions a year, including parades.
Could you describe a little bit about what the competitions were about?
Gary?
We started with a B
class.
B class Corps, which we just couldn't be beat in that class. We moved up to the A class, which we had some difficulty there at first, and after a while, we, with our discipline and everything else, we finally conquered what we were trying to get.
Now, did it take a while?
Big win.
Yeah. Did it take a while to get organized?
Well, it did at the very beginning, but believe it or not, I think most of the kids really learned quickly.
Yeah.
And I think it was because of the discipline that, like Gary was talking about, that really kind of forced you into doing this. And what was great was we lived in the Veterans Project in Haverhill, and we had a lot of the kids in the project that were part of the Corps, and we would get together even on days that we weren't supposed to be here for practice, and we would practice together. So it was like it was a constant practice for us, a constant rehearsal, and I think that's what helped perfect a lot of the Corps, was knowing that we were playing all the time together, all the time together.
Which answers also the reason why. Why would you stay together? Why would you keep it going? You must have gone home sometimes and said, why am I putting up with this? You know?
Well, it was tough.
But it probably was, the community type of...
Well, you didn't have a lot of air conditioning. Everybody sweated, I mean, constantly in here. During the winter, we would do our routine, our marching routine in the Armory, which is now a firehouse museum, I think, or something like that. And then during the summer months, we would be down at the stadium doing routines on the field, as you see, with bands in stadiums during football games. Same type of thing, a little more difficult personally as far as I'm concerned, what we did at that time compared to the bands. Right.
Until we got all of it right.
And we had people like Fitzy, which was our maneuvering genius, who was the
show us the routines.
he was something. He was a real character. I'm trying to remember the name of the group that they all came from in Boston. A lot of them came from the senior corps, and I'll probably remember it before the end of the program. But he was a real stickler, and you made sure that you did it right.